48 hour art check. That's why we love live. Round 19.
19. Oh.
And that is why I should take a breath and take a moment before I press the button.
Dude, I've had so many times of that kind of thing happening. The worst is if you like hit the button and just have that space moment where you like, I don't know if you've ever had that where you just lose your words.
You just like
I had it happen in front of a classroom before too. It's terrible.
Oh yeah. Or if you're teaching in front of a classroom and then something stops working. Like so I teach Adobe software in one of my classes, and sometimes Adobe will just change things because it's cloud-based now. And so I'll be like, oh yeah, you totally just go in there and do, that's not working, let's try this. Looks like that completely changed. I don't know how to do that right now, so give me a minute.
Let's try, the HDMI cable's out.
Right.
So...
the internet's down. Everybody working, break up into groups. Teach each other while I try to figure this out. So, oh man.
Yes.
I'm so tired. Okay.
Oh, me too. All right, so let's get into why we're tired.
Okay. Who's starting this time? I can't remember.
I think, let me start. I'll start.
Okay, you can start.
All right, so what I got done so far is this. It's inking the panel borders and the type. And then I'm actually, I didn't take a picture yet or anything, but I'm like halfway through inking the first panel. So I'm kind of, I think I'm where I need to be at, but I noticed I've been watching Mike and Gaz do their kind of checkup. And they do a smart thing, which is like to write down what their goal is.
Right.
So they vividly remember it. So I'm thinking I should probably do that, but I'm pretty sure I hit my goal. So I think that's what my goal was, to have the panel borders and lettering done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then there's another thing that unfortunately we just can't really show much of, but it's a project that you and I are in the thick of, and we're probably both exhausted due to that, because it's a little extra kind of crazy thing on our plate. And we'll talk about it whenever we can, but probably not for a long time.
Yeah. I'm tempted to show something, but I don't know. I've got it queued up in case we decide we want to. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm tired too, because Saturday, an old college buddy of my wife's came into town for a thing, and so that ate up a lot of the time that I was going to spend on our secret project, and I ended up starting that late. And it's an animation thing, so I was up till like 4:30 in the morning, and that always just lasts a couple days now. It used to be that I could pull an all-nighter, sleep, I'd be fine. That is not the case anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah.
No. It's funny how much of that changes, because in college, there's an old bit about it, but I think it goes something to the effect of, you're in your 20s when you run into somebody and you go, dude, I only slept like 4 hours last night. Oh yeah, I pulled an all-nighter. And you're like, whoa. And once you hit your 30s, it's more like, dude, I slept a full 8 last night.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I slept 12. That's right.
Oh, that is exactly true. Yeah, I did get this done.
Yes.
And so this is one of those things that I kind of just knocked out real fast. And there's a series of books I read a while ago that I'm a big fan of called the Stormlight Archives, and it's by Brandon Sanderson. If you haven't read anything by Brandon Sanderson, none of these jokes that I do when I'm like, I need to make something, but I don't have 6 hours to sit down. None of those jokes will make sense. But this is kind of a super inside joke on people who have read that book. Because there's one character who gets branded as a dangerous slave, and he's tattooed on his forehead. And he's originally from Alethkar. It's called a Shash brand, and his name is Kaladin Stormblast. So I thought it would just be funny to like invent a fake tattoo shop based on all of those little bits of information.
Oh man.
So,
I'm not familiar with this series. So what is it, and who is it by, and how many books are there?
okay, there are a lot of books that he has written, and each one of them is like a 60-plus hour audiobook. So they're like thousands of pages.
Ooh,
Brandon
I like it.
Sanderson is the dude who picked up the Dark Tower series after a little while, and then moved over to doing his own stuff. And he is, every book he writes, except for Dark Tower, every book he writes ends up in the same universe. And so you have characters from different planets that are ending up on stuff. So it's like high fantasy with different magic systems built in. If you try to describe it, you will sound like the nerdiest person on the planet, right?
Those are the best books, right?
Yeah, and it's super engrossing. But like, yeah, like on one planet, the magic system is based on color. Like there are people who can like suck color out of things and use it as magic. On another planet, it's based on metals. Like you digest metals and then you burn them, and different metals give you different abilities. On a different planet, it's based on, I can't remember. Anyway, there's a lot of different things. And then you have a couple of these characters that are like kind of godlike and are able to be in different worlds, and they're all self-contained stories. But they're fascinating. And he travels between the three different realms of like the physical, the spiritual, and the cognitive. And so you have beings that live in each one. So you have some that have the ability to transverse those, and stuff like that. And so it becomes interesting. There's the one that Stormlight is the big one. There's 3 or 4 of those books, and that's where a lot of the characters that I'm doing. So I've done 3 of those now. Just little
Nice.
inside jokes. They're kind of funny.
No, I might have to add that to my list. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Because I actually have a pre-ordered audiobook, and I have like a couple days till that's out. So I might have to just binge and get Stormlight.
Yeah, you could do Stormlight, or you could start with something like Warbreaker, which is a little bit easier to tackle because it's just a one-off book rather than 180 hours worth of audiobooks in a trilogy.
I kind of like the 180. But what would you? So you'd start with which one?
Warbreaker is a good one. The Stormlight series, if you just start with the beginning, which I think is the Way of Kings or something,
Okay.
they're pretty good.
I like it.
Ox in the chat says, "You have become stronger than mortals and just never sleep again." Yeah, that I don't know if I've become stronger than that or stupid enough to continue to try to do it as I approach 40. But one of those things is happening.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's the catch with this project. If we're gonna do it right, like tonight, for instance, I have to do a cityscape for it. I
Right.
guess we can say it's animation. I guess we can give that much away.
Yeah.
And so we're doing like a limited animation project, and we can't really say who for or whatever. But so it's like a lot of work. Cory's doing a ton of a ton of stuff for it. I'm doing illustrations for it, and it's just like it's gonna be daunting. Not undoable, but it's just one of those things where when you're working on personal projects, adding that extra component just takes away that extra amount, which is usually at night, because
Right.
when else are we going to do this stuff? So
Yeah, so I still have a hard deadline on my book of I need to get it done before the 10th.
yes,
And then we also have decided to take on, and I don't know, if you know anything about animation, you'll know that this is a fairly significant task if you're not working full-time on it. It's 15 seconds of fully illustrated limited animation. And
Yeah.
that includes doing, I can talk about it without saying what it is. Camera movements where things that Josh is illustrating will be spread out in Z space so that I can get parallax. And then what I've done is each one of those things has movement in it as well. So for example, there's a fire hydrant spitting water as I go by. There's police sirens where the top of the thing is spinning. There's people moving, and it's not a lot of animation, but it is a ton of work. And so I kind of think I'm glad I'm flying to Arizona, because if I was driving, I think I'd fall asleep and kill us. I'm not going to get a lot of sleep in the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's going to be ambitious, and yet like we're both really excited about it. So that's kind of one of those things where you like when you're spinning plates. If the plate is interesting enough, you can add it. But this one was one we both talked about, and we're like, yeah, it's a good possibility. So it'll be an interesting thing, and might open some doors to some other stuff. So yeah,
it's kind of like what I tell people is you should work on things that you want to do. And so like both of us are in a position where, because of our day jobs, we don't have to make money off of our side projects, which means that like if somebody offers me work, I can say, eh. But something like this comes along and you're like, no, that's pretty dope. And so you can take on stuff that you want, but you don't have to. And so it's pretty cool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be less excited tonight when I finish that cityscape. But yeah, it's interesting, and the challenges on Cory's end are like just making all of it work and move and designing the whole system. It's very similar to the way we did this intro. And then on my end, it's just like it complicates the building of the illustration, because it's having to build it with different components so that they can be moved. And so what would take like an hour to color takes like 5 hours to color.
Right.
And so, and then like I'm just kind of hoping I'm doing that right so that you have less work on that end too. So it's a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Should we dip into challenges? Because I think that we're already kind of.
Yeah, that was pretty much plans. We can do challenges. Challenges is fine. So with animation, one of the things that makes it challenging is like you're doing all the illustration, and so the pre-planning, the pre-visualization, or what a lot of people call the animatic, that took me, I don't know, over 12 hours.
Yeah.
On Saturday, and I mean, like, it took me 2 hours to make him blink. It's like it's just such an interesting process, because you're like, okay, how am I going to do this? You have to think of things like how things move in 3D space, but they're two-dimensional, and we're not doing traditional animation. We're drawing every frame, and so you have to figure out how to bend them. So it's a ton of problem solving, where normally in a lot of work I'm able to like listen to things. The challenge in something like this is that I have to think so much that it has to be like music. I can't listen to like audiobooks or podcasts or YouTube vlogs or whatever.
It's more akin to like penciling or something like that. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's challenging. And then the main challenge is just getting, for me, is just getting that done and staying on top of, I have 2 more spreads to do to finish out my book.
Yes.
And so I will be doing all of those things.
Wow.
So yeah, the challenge is just a daunting amount of work on top of getting ready for leaving 2 weeks early in the semester, which means I have to do all of the work that I would have done at the end of the semester now, on top of all of that. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's massive. That's a massive challenge. So a lot of it's just going to be juggling. That's that's tough.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
on this
normal.
end, same thing basically. The challenge for me is, I need to keep the ball moving on this comic because the comic's not going to get done in by like my goal is to hopefully get it done by May. And this is a project I'm like 3 years in. So like a day delayed is just not excusable. It's just going to take so much longer. So I need to always be making progress on my comic on a daily basis. So that's a non-negotiable. And
Right.
that became a non-negotiable like a year ago, basically because you can't do any really like significant work without it being a challenge.
Yeah.
And usually it's going to be when you're doing art, you're engaging in art, you're going to experience a lot of resistance. And so that's a non-negotiable. And this new thing is quickly becoming something I have to pile on top of that. So today it was really hard because I got home and of course there was traffic, all of that fun stuff. Because I have a really long commute, so it's about an hour and a half one way if there's no traffic. um,
Man, that's
and there
insane.
was traffic, so it was about 2 hours. So 2 hours in traffic, get home, have to get the comic work done, and I finally wrapped that up like right before we started here. And then I'm gonna try to draw and color a cityscape. Luckily, that'll be a little more feasible than like some of the components I had to build before because there's not a lot of layering to this one. But it's just like there's that juggle of those things, and yet I have to keep this in mind when I'm in the thick of it, like I am right now, and we're both kind of in. Um, some of the coolest things that have happened in my career in art have come at times where I've just taken on a little too much.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'll look back and be like, how did I do that like all in a week? Or how did I do that all in a month?
Yeah.
And like I used to tell that to students too, because like when you're doing like t-shirt design and stuff like that, and the kind of design I was doing where you're concepting it all the way to execution, um, you are relying on these like moments where you get this like window of inspiration and you come up with a really good strong concept. And if you keep at it and you kind of pile it a little too high, like something happens at some point. It like opens this door and you just get slammed with all this inspiration and you make a bunch of stuff. And then you'll hit another dry period. And at least that's how it worked for me. But what I would do is like I remember this one time where like I got invited to be in like 4 different design annuals, which like for design and illustration is a big deal. It's like these books they publish and put in Barnes and Noble and stuff. And they're like best of T-shirt design and that kind of stuff. And like everything they picked like was done in a period of like 2 weeks.
Right.
Like so it's like a lot of stuff in my portfolio that like really helped me career wise was like all stuff made in those like weird little periods where I was like, what am I doing? There's no time. And so that's not to say also that you do run the risk of burnout too, but I'm trying to kind of roll with this because this feels like that kind of thing where it's like I have good momentum on my book. You have good momentum on your book. I feel like we have pretty good momentum on this animation.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's just a matter of like, just wading through it.
Right.
Thing.
And I
But
mean,
I sympathize because like I do not have like picking up a newborn at the end of my tunnel here. And I'm also, I mean, at work we're training people and stuff, so it's a little stressful right now. But it's not, yeah, and I'm doing interviews and all that stuff. But it's
yeah.
like, it's not comparable to like trying to prep your class for being gone for the end of the semester. That's massive.
Yeah. I mean, I've got good support. I have colleagues that we work pretty closely together. So I think it's one of those things. You know, everybody's got their own set of challenges, and comparing them is never fruitful or useful even. Because I look at what you're doing right now, and I used to do that. I did that for 12 to 15 years, and I think I liked a lot of that, and it was a lot of fun. Also, I don't like rush season. It's like just this period of time that you're going through right now where I'm like, I don't miss that.
No.
I don't miss getting the catalog ready. That's not fun.
I will say this, like the other non-negotiable that's come out of that, out of like rush seasons at work, and this is something to keep in mind if you're creative and you're watching or you're working on personal projects and you're doing what we're doing, just time juggling. For me, like exercise is a non-negotiable.
Oh, I wish I could get to that point.
At this period in time, because like literally today when I got home, I was dead. Like I was going to hit the bed and just go to sleep and then maybe wake up and do this art check. But then I did the math in my head and I was like, well, I got to get a panel inked and then I got to draw a cityscape tonight. So when am I going to do my comic if I crash? And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to come up with energy? And then I was like, oh, I got to do that thing I hate doing.
Yeah.
So I did that and then just got this little battery of power like from it. Like you get this little boost and then like it's going to sustain me. And then tomorrow, because I did that, I won't be a jerk at work.
Right.
So it's, I don't know, like for me, it's like, it's funny, but it's like during the rush seasons, it's like when I really have to, like I've found since I started doing that about a year ago, it's like during the rush seasons, it's hard not to do it because I know that I just catch myself being a jerk if I don't.
Right.
Because it's just like, you know, it's a huge stress release too. So.
Yeah. I need to get into that.
It's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just tough with the lack of sleep too.
Yeah. See, my problem is when I was getting my master's, I was working full time. So I got my master's while I was teaching full time.
I can't believe that.
And I did 2 5-credit classes every 10 weeks at SCAD while I was teaching a full-time load for my first year. And your first year of teaching, I have found, is way harder than subsequent years because you have to build everything while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, you don't have that foundation when you're taking a new class. It's like that's the crazy part. It's like trying to come up with a story.
Right. Like now I can just say, let's see, what am I going to do tomorrow? Oh yeah, that lecture that I've given 15 times. I'll do that one. You know, whereas your first year you're like, okay, let's build everything. I have to come up with 90 minutes of content, you know, or whatever. That's useful and relevant and all that. Anyway, so I found exercising was a necessity then because I would be like reading a textbook because I would work all day and then I'd go home for an hour and then I'd come back and I'd be like reading a textbook and I couldn't stay awake. And so I was like, okay, the only way I can stay awake is if I read this on the elliptical or on the treadmill or on the spinner bike or whatever. And so I was doing it then, but I found that I can push myself that hard, which is harder than I've ever pushed before, for about 12 months. That's my limit. At 12 months, I completely break down.
Yeah.
So the last 4 months of my master's was really rough.
Oh, yeah, mine too. I'd say that was about when it got really tough. It was like that. I mean, it was tough the whole time because I was juggling working full time. I wasn't teaching. I was like freelancing from home.
Right. Still.
But I was the primary provider, and at the same time, like juggling that with like and doing client work as well as doing master's level work is just like 2 different mind spaces.
Right.
So I'm trying to like push and develop and evolve my style. And then I have clients who are like, you know, that style you did 5 years ago, do that over and over again. And and your brain is just like this scrambled egg. But yeah, like yeah, I think that is the point. It's about 4 months to the end where you're just like,
Right.
I had
Right.
a lot of moments of just like, who am I? Like, what is this even? Is reality real?
Yeah.
But that's a good thing to remember because like both of us got through grad school. So what is this week? This week's nothing.
Yeah. And that's what I kept saying with the sticker stint. You can
Mhm.
do anything for a month. I mean, you can
Yeah,
literally do anything for a month. 30 days is nothing,
yeah,
right? And if you've got to like go on 4 to 6 hours of sleep for 2 weeks, you can do that. It's not fun, but you can do it. Because I know that 12 months is my limit.
yeah,
So
agreed.
2 weeks is like, yeah, I could do that.
We can make it happen. All
Anyway,
right, so I think that would get into plans. I mean, my plan, like on my book, is to get. I'd like to get that second row of panels inked. So panels, I want to finish inking panel one, and I'd like by the next time we talk to have inked all the little panels, 2 through 7, because
cool.
they're like little quick spot illustrations. So that's where I'd like to be on my book. What about you?
I did not meet my goal from Friday, which was to figure out what that page is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm showing them become friends, the bird and the woodcutter, and mainly because like that takes a lot of thinking, and I wasted myself on the animatic trying to solve all those problems. And
Yeah,
so I kind of supplanted that with this T-shirt design. Uh,
yeah.
oh no! Don't do that. Come back. Sorry. Oh crap! 1 second. We'll just are we?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a brief technical difficulty. In the
Okay.
meantime, to this
Oh,
easy listening music. Oh, we're back.
good. Now we have
Oh,
two of me.
that's awesome.
My favorite. Okay, there we go. Okay.
I think that would be hilarious if if I can't make it to one of these.
I'll just put two cameras on myself, like one like a profile shot, and I'll just talk to me.
And it works great for 3D if you guys just put like a divider right here and
Yeah,
just look at
exactly.
it.
So anyway, so what I was saying before my camera, which is really just my phone broadcasting to my computer, cut out, was what my plan was for the weekend was to figure out that page. I actually had a little bit of cushion that unfortunately I was kind of forced to use, and so that is now my plan, which I have to get done. If I don't get that done, I will not finish this book on time. So I have to have that done by Wednesday. That's like a non-negotiable, like drop dead deadline. If it does,
Figured out or finished?
figured out, pencils started by
Got
Wednesday
it.
because I have to have it inked by Friday, Saturday, somewhere
Perfect.
around there. So, yeah, and it's in my mind. It's not a terribly complicated page. I'm definitely not going to do any leaves or wood or cliffs in it, so it's going to be kind of a spot illustration, or even maybe a series of panels, comic style.
Yeah, that's
So you
that
can do a
idea.
lot of limited things in there that still work really well.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure the pacing will work with that way. So, but
So, so
those
no
are all things I
dime,
got to figure out. So,
no dime-sized like forests or anything.
right. Yeah, go look at my Instagram. And when I put a dime next to something, you know that I probably spent too much time on that. Given
You
that
guys,
I'm drawing like two up.
yeah, you guys should look at his Instagram because these pages are so good, and I really think once again it's like I think if you stick to it and you hit that mark, you're gonna be feel pretty good because it's looking pretty beautiful so
Yeah.
far. So
And if I don't stick to it, that'll be really dumb because I have like 37 of 40 pages finished.
you're
So
almost there,
I'm
almost
almost
there.
there. Oh, the other plan. I forgot. This is a huge thing. Huge. Uh, Salt Lake Comic Con got back to me and they have a spot available in Artist Alley in September, and so I'm like 90% sure that I'm going to take it, which will be the
Awesome.
first time I've ever tabled at a convention. And so I'm probably going to do a series of YouTube videos where I interview artists who have done that show or other shows and just try to figure out what the crap I'm doing.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
So I think that'll be pretty interesting. I've already reached out to a couple people, but I'm going to talk to like Gaz and Gazbot and Scott Cirkland and a lot of the guys that are kind of in this kind of YouTube community of ours that have done a lot of shows and pick everybody's brain. So we'll see.
We should do a pre-convention art casters or something too.
Yeah.
Because maybe a round table or something. Because like
and you'll just have me live in an anxiety attack. That'll be really fun for everyone.
The one piece of advice I can think of that I didn't think of at the time, and this probably you probably already thought of it, but it's like bring a lot of ones. Like you actually need a little money box and bring lots of change because you're going to burn through it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's just, change like dollar, small change.
Yeah.
That's the stuff you burn through.
I'm also thinking I might get like one of those phone card readers so that I can take
a square reader
cards and whatnot.
Get one of those too.
So I don't know. So that's all. It's a little bit in the future, but I have to decide in the next 48 hours because the spot is only open for me for a short period of time. So,
it's non-refundable, right?
It's non-refundable, but I mean, it's one of those things where if I do it, if I spend the money on it, I will do whatever it takes to get things done to make it happen, and so I probably should just do it. Ox is telling me in the chat that I should just do it. I think that was actually a threat because he said you'd better do it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what happens if I don't, what he's going to do to me, but...
You really don't want to know, man. You don't mess with Ox. When Ox says you better do it, you better do it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, there's, sometimes things break.
Yeah, and that's... See, and the thing is, with this, it's kind of like I put my name on the waiting list. I went on there. I think it was an Artcasters or something. Maybe it was one of Scott's videos where he's talking about shows, or Gaz's videos where he's talking about shows. And I was like, I should do that. I should probably just get on a list so that I can get on. Because they always fill up, and people talk about all the time about these big shows. Because Salt Lake is one of the biggest Comic-Cons out there, and it's only like 5 years old or something.
Yeah, do it.
And so I actually put my name on the list so that I could say that I did, and I could kind of like move on with my life, not expecting it to come up, and now it came up. So a spot came available. So I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
But
so that's part of plans.
Yeah.
Plans is by the next time we talk, you've returned an email and said, I'm going to do it. Because the thing is, that's the thing. All the other stuff is resistance.
Right.
Like, that, like, the worst case scenario is you end up there and you learn some stuff about conventioning.
Right.
Which is good. You're going to have to do that anyway. And best case scenario is, like, you make a bunch of connections, get some really cool work out of it, and get some cool friends out of it, and sell some stuff and make some money.
Right, and I'm pretty sure that I could do a print run of this book before then, and then I don't know, I've probably got about 40 good sticker designs that I could bring.
Yep, there you go.
And after Kevin Cross did his Monkey Mod lapel pin, and Holly Brown was talking about her kind of enamel pins, I actually reached out to Holly's supplier and got a quote, and it's very reasonable.
It's doable.
And so I was also thinking, I should do some pins or what. So all of this stuff it's been building. I know I'm going to do it.
I'm
all
right.
Yeah. So it's decided. I'm going to do it.
The next time we talk, you've done it.
I've done it.
It'll be good. It will ease all your fears to go to it, because it's not like your first convention. Like, I still very much remember with fondness my first convention. It's a fun experience.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's different than any time you've attended a convention. You also get to talk shop with people on a level you never get to when you're not boothing. When you're boothing, it makes you kind of feel a part of this club of people, of professionals who are doing it. It's just like it's just like all of other stuff. Like the first time you work as a professional illustrator, you're like, oh, I've joined the club. Like I just got paid to draw. You know, it's very much similar. It's like
Yeah.
you feel more confident to like approach guys you admired forever or conventioning at the same place
Right.
and just be like, hey, what are you showing? Because I'm working on this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good experience overall. And here's the thing: worst case scenario again, you don't finish your book, you print up a crap load of postcards and you promote the hell out of your Kickstarter there.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean, or whatever way you're going to get it out. So there's no losing. Just do it. All right.
Okay. Decided.
Cool.
Now I just have to keep my imposter syndrome in check, since everyone else belongs there, but I don't. That's just a given, right? So.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's how we all feel, right? We're all faking.
Right.
It's so Ox just said no. You've decided on doing it, and he said yes. So
Yeah,
he's excited.
okay. That's good. So,
So,
nothing will be broken. That's good to know.
Yeah. So Ox is on point. All right. I
Okay.
think that's about it. We
Yeah,
got to get to.
We got to call this because we got so much to do. It's only Monday, right? Today is Monday. Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Wednesday.
So
Next
Wednesday,
time.
we'll see you again. Cool.
We will see you guys, and yeah, if you guys are out there and you're contemplating being ambitious this week, try it. Join us. Join us.
Yeah, do it. I know there's a couple people rumbling in some of the sidelines waiting to jump in, but do some kind of art check, take on a project, you know, make sure you want to, and it'll be good. You'll be better off for it. I did a whole thing today that I'm not going to do right now about the difference between urgent things and important things, and the main difference is important things matter a year from now. Urgent things feel important but rarely are. And the important things, they matter a year from now whether you do them or not. Like, it will matter that you didn't do it on all the lost time and lost opportunity, or you'll have changed your life. And
Which I 100% agree with you. And the cool thing is, I feel so confident that what we're both working on, literally both projects,
yeah.
I can say a year from now, I'm not going to regret doing.
No, even if the secret project completely flames out, it's gonna still be rad, and it'll still look awesome.
We're gonna have something cool out of it,
Yeah.
and as we've discussed, like it can be a gateway to something else. So
yeah,
all right.
Just know we are doing YouTube videos about it that we can't release now, but we will have like a series of us doing stuff after the fact. So it'll be like a behind the scenes thing. So all this secrecy the curtain will be lifted at some point. Anyway. Okay, so if you want to check out Josh's stuff, check out quarterlystories.com. And if you want to see an eyeball from the secret project we're working on, go check out his Instagram because he showed an eyeball and it looks awesome and it's significant, but you don't know why yet. And if you want to see my stuff, you can go to corykerr.com. If you go to corykerr.com/store, if you know anything about the Brandon Sanderson books, or the Stormlight Archives, or Mistborn, or any of those, I have a couple inside jokes for you that you can get fairly inexpensively as a sticker or something for a couple bucks. Special thanks to No Saboteurs for licensing the intro music, and we will see you guys on Wednesday. We are out.
Bye.